I never thought anyone could betray me the way Mia Thompson did. My name is Olivia Carter, and Mia had been my best friend for over a decade. We met in high school at Lincoln High in Los Angeles. Two awkward girls thrown together in the cafeteria, both unsure of where we belonged. She smiled at me across the room and said something simple. "Hey, you look like you need a friend." And from that moment, we were inseparable. People called us sisters, soulmates, partners in crime. And we lived up to every description. I trusted her with my life, my dreams, my deepest secrets, and she trusted me the same, or so I believed. Over the years, our friendship became a sanctuary in the chaos of life. From late-night drives down Sunset Boulevard, windows down, music blaring, to lazy Sundays binge-watching old romantic comedies in our tiny Venice Beach apartment, we were inseparable. Mia had this energy that drew people to her. She could make anyone feel special, like their problems mattered. I admired her confidence, her charisma, and the way she could make anyone laugh even when they were hurting. I thought our bond was unbreakable, something that could withstand any storm. But life has a way of revealing the cracks in even the strongest foundations. The first subtle sign came on a rainy Thursday night. I was scrolling through my phone when I saw a message pop up on Mia's device, a name I didn't recognize. J.T. The text itself seemed harmless, but something about the way it was written, with urgency and secrecy, made my stomach twist. I brushed it off, telling myself it was probably just a work contact or a distant friend. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Over the next few days, Mia's behavior became more erratic. She would take long walks alone, claim she was running errands, and spend hours texting on her phone in another room. Her laughter became sharper, almost forced, whenever I asked what she was doing. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself I was overreacting. After all, Mia had always been private about certain aspects of her life, but the nagging feeling in my chest only grew stronger, a shadow creeping over the trust I had always placed in her. Then came my 26th birthday. Mia had organized a small rooftop party in downtown LA, inviting our closest friends. Everything seemed perfect, the city skyline glittering behind us, champagne in hand, music playing softly, but I couldn't help noticing Mia slipping away several times to take private calls. Later, I overheard part of a conversation that made my blood run cold. "Olivia can't find out." "Not yet." "Yes, it's almost ready." I tried to convince myself I was imagining things, but my instinct screamed that this was more than a harmless secret. The next week, my unease escalated. I started noticing the subtle signs I had previously ignored, a strange perfume lingering on her clothes, her sudden defensiveness whenever I mentioned certain people, and the deleted texts that always seemed to appear when I turned my back. Each small lie was like a stitch in a dark tapestry slowly revealing itself. I realized that Mia had been hiding something from me, something that would change everything I believed about our friendship. I began paying closer attention, piecing together the small clues she left behind. One night, while Mia was in the kitchen making coffee, I noticed her laptop left open on the dining table. Curiosity and dread twisted inside me. I couldn't resist. When I opened it, I discovered a folder labeled Olivia. Inside were emails, text screenshots, and photographs, evidence of secret communications between Mia and Jake, my ex-boyfriend. They weren't just casual exchanges. They were planning, conspiring, and hiding from me in ways I could never have imagined. The shock was overwhelming. My heart pounded as I tried to process what I was seeing. The person I trusted most had been orchestrating a betrayal behind my back, meticulously and deliberately. I felt sick, hurt, and betrayed, all at once. Every memory of laughter, every secret shared, every adventure we had together now felt tainted by her deception. I wanted to scream, to run, to confront her immediately, but I knew I needed to prepare myself for what was to come. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our friendship, trying to distinguish the genuine from the deceit. The thought that someone I had loved like a sister could betray me in such a calculated way was unbearable. I realized then that trust, once broken, leaves a wound that doesn't heal easily. But even in the midst of heartbreak, I felt a strange clarity. I understood that I needed to confront this, to uncover the full truth, and to decide whether the person I loved as family still deserved a place in my life. After that night, I couldn't think of anything else. The image of Mia smiling, laughing, and acting like nothing was wrong haunted me. Every conversation we had felt tainted, every memory of shared secrets now suspicious. I started paying attention to the small things I had previously overlooked. The way she would glance at her phone when I entered the room, the subtle change in her tone when mentioning Jake, the unexplained hours she spent away from our apartment. The more I observed, the more I realized that the betrayal had been building for months, maybe even years, hidden behind layers of smiles and laughter. I began investigating quietly. I didn't want to confront her until I had the full picture, but my obsession grew with every passing day. I reviewed old messages, pieced together fragments of conversations, and tried to map her comings and goings. Each little clue was like a breadcrumb trail leading me deeper into a truth I wasn't sure I wanted to face. And then, one evening, I found it the definitive evidence that Mia had been hiding not just one secret, but multiple. Hidden accounts, emails, and messages revealed plans and communications that left no room for denial. She had been in contact with Jake, yes, but also with other people I had trusted, carefully orchestrating events to manipulate and control what I knew. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. Every laugh, every conversation, every adventure we had shared seemed like a lie. I remembered the times she had comforted me after heartbreak, helped me celebrate successes, even stood by me during my darkest moments. Had any of it been real, or had it all been a carefully constructed facade? I felt sick, angry, and numb all at once. The confrontation was inevitable. One Friday evening, after weeks of observation and emotional torment, I gathered the courage to confront her. I waited until she returned from one of her mysterious outings and asked her directly, "Mia, is there something you're hiding from me?" Her reaction was immediate. She froze, her eyes widening, a flicker of guilt flashing across her face. She tried to laugh it off, to dismiss my question with a casual comment, but I could see through it. This was no longer a small secret. It was a web of deception that had been growing under my very nose. I pressed further. "I've seen your messages. I know about Jake. I know you've been hiding things from me for months. How could you?" Her composure faltered, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability, fear, and shame in her eyes. She tried to explain. Her words rushed and incoherent, but the explanations felt hollow, empty. I realized then that trust, once broken, cannot simply be repaired with words. The betrayal had cut too deeply. In the following days, life became a series of tense encounters and quiet observations. Friends and family began noticing the strain between us, some subtly asking if everything was okay, others speculating on the gossip that had begun to swirl around us. Each conversation was a minefield, forcing me to navigate carefully while I processed the betrayal. I felt isolated, unsure of whom to trust, and consumed by the need to understand the full extent of Mia's deception. The turning point came when I discovered the final piece of evidence. One late night, while Mia was asleep, I found a hidden folder on her laptop that contained photographs, emails, and documents showing her orchestrating interactions, not only with Jake but with other friends who had unknowingly become part of her schemes. The realization was staggering. This had been planned, methodical, and manipulative. Every smile, every comforting hug, every shared secret, all of it had been tainted by her hidden agenda. The emotional impact was immense. I felt anger, grief, and betrayal intertwining in a knot that seemed impossible to untangle. I questioned everything about my life, my relationships, and even my judgment. How could someone I loved like a sister manipulate me in such a way? How could the memories we shared coexist with the lies she had built around them? It was a painful awakening, forcing me to confront the uncomfortable truth that sometimes, the people closest to you can hurt you the most. Despite the pain, I began to feel a sense of clarity. The betrayal, while devastating, revealed something important about myself and the people I allowed into my life. I realized the importance of boundaries, of trusting wisely, and of recognizing red flags before they spiral into something unmanageable. The process of uncovering the truth, though excruciating, empowered me to reclaim control over my life and my choices. Mia, meanwhile, seemed increasingly aware that the walls of her deception were closing in. Her attempts to maintain normalcy became strained, her laughter forced, her conversations guarded. The tension between us grew palpable, like a storm about to break. I knew that eventually, a confrontation would come that could not be avoided, a moment where truths would be laid bare, and our friendship, tested to its limits, would either survive or shatter completely. The tension between us had become unbearable. Every glance Mia gave me seemed loaded with guilt, every word carefully measured. I couldn't keep living in uncertainty, trapped between disbelief and anger. That Saturday evening, I decided it was time. I asked her to meet me at our favorite coffee shop in Santa Monica, a place where we had shared countless laughs, tears, and dreams. The irony of choosing the site of our happiest memories was not lost on me. I wanted her to see the contrast the friendship we once had versus the betrayal that now hung between us like a storm cloud. When she arrived, she smiled nervously, fidgeting with her coffee cup. I could see the unease in her eyes, the fleeting moments where her confident facade cracked. "Olivia," she said cautiously, "I thought we could talk." My voice cut her off before she could finish. "Talk? Mia, how can we talk? I know everything. I've seen the messages, the emails, the photos. I know about Jake and everything else you've been hiding from me." The words came out harsher than I expected, my anger breaking through the calm I had tried to maintain for weeks. Mia's face went pale. She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again. I didn't mean for you to find out this way," she said finally, her voice trembling. "Olivia, you have to understand. It's not what it looks like." I shook my head. "Not what it looks like? Mia, this is exactly what it looks like. You lied to me. You manipulated me. You betrayed me, my trust, my heart, my life. How could you do this to me?" The words felt heavy, each one a punch to the chest, a release of the anguish that had been building inside me. She swallowed hard, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't want to hurt you. I thought I was protecting you, and myself. I made mistakes, big mistakes, and Her voice cracked, and for a moment, I saw the friend I once knew, the one who had been my sister, my confidant, my anchor. But that glimpse was fleeting, replaced by the realization that the trust we had shared was shattered beyond repair. "I don't want to hear excuses. Mia," I said, my voice steadier now, but cold and cutting. "I want the truth. Why, Jake? Why all the secrets? Why betray me like this?" She hesitated, then let out a heavy sigh, her shoulders slumping. "It started months ago," she admitted. "I didn't plan for it to get this complicated, I swear. I was lonely and I don't know. I made choices I shouldn't have. I never wanted to lose you, Olivia. I didn't want to hurt you." Her confession only made the pain sharper. "You didn't want to hurt me?" I repeated incredulously. "You've been hiding this entire life from me. Every time you smiled, every time we talked about our future, it was all a lie. How can I ever trust you again?" Mia's tears spilled freely now, her vulnerability raw and undeniable. I felt a pang of the sisterly love I had once held for her, but it was buried under layers of betrayal, anger, and heartbreak. The confrontation didn't end there. Over the next hour, truth spilled out like a dam breaking. I learned about her secret meetings, the hidden texts, and the ways she had manipulated our friends without their knowledge. I discovered her insecurities, her fears of abandonment, and the twisted logic that led her to betray me in ways I could barely comprehend. Each revelation was more painful than the last, yet somehow, it brought clarity. I could finally see the entire picture, the full extent of her deception and the cracks in the friendship I had once thought unbreakable. By the end of the conversation, we were both exhausted, emotionally drained, and trembling. I realized then that some relationships, no matter how deep, cannot survive betrayal of this magnitude. Mia looked at me, her eyes pleading. "Can we ever fix this?" she whispered, but I knew the answer before I even spoke it. "I don't know if we can," I said softly, the weight of the truth settling over us. "I don't know if I can ever forgive what you've done." The fallout was immediate and far-reaching. Friends and family began noticing the tension. Rumors began to swirl, and I had to navigate a delicate path between my own grief and the social fallout. Some friends took sides, some distanced themselves, and some tried to mediate, but the rift had grown too deep. I had to learn to process the betrayal while maintaining my own mental and emotional stability. It was a painful lesson in self-preservation and the limits of loyalty. Through all of this, I discovered strengths I didn't know I had. I realized that while betrayal can wound deeply, it also forces growth, resilience, and clarity. I learned to trust my instincts, to recognize red flags, and to prioritize my own well-being. Mia had shattered our friendship, but she had also forced me to confront truths about myself, my values, and my boundaries. In the months that followed, I slowly rebuilt my life. I focused on my career, strengthened bonds with friends who had remained loyal, and explored new relationships based on honesty and mutual respect. The scars of betrayal remained, but they became reminders of my strength and the lessons I had learned. As for Mia, we never fully reconciled. Our shared memories remained bittersweet and haunting, but the trust that once defined us was gone, and in the quiet moments, when I reflect on that chapter of my life, I realize that discovering her secret, as painful as it was, taught me one of the most important lessons of all. Some people are meant to walk into your life for a reason, and some are meant to leave. Betrayal may hurt, but it also illuminates the path towards self-discovery, resilience, and the people who truly deserve a place in your life. After the confrontation, life felt like walking through a fog. Every familiar place reminded me of the betrayal. Our favorite coffee shop, the rooftop bars where we had celebrated birthdays, even the quiet stretches of Venice Beach all carried the weight of memories now tainted by lies. I spent nights replaying conversations, analyzing her words, searching for signs I had missed, wondering how someone I loved so deeply could orchestrate such deception. Sleep became elusive, replaced by anxiety and a gnawing need for answers. Friends began to notice the tension. Some pulled away quietly, unsure how to act. Others tried to mediate. Emily, a mutual friend, approached me one afternoon at a local cafe, her expression hesitant. "Olivia, I don't know what happened," she said softly, "but Mia's been acting strange for a while. You're not alone in this." Hearing that someone else had sensed something off about Mia offered a strange sense of comfort and validation. It reminded me that I hadn't imagined the betrayal, that my instincts had been right all along. Family was harder to navigate. My younger brother, Liam, struggled to understand the situation. "Why can't you just forgive her?" he asked one evening over dinner. "She's your best friend. People make mistakes." I looked at him, feeling both frustration and the need to protect him from the ugly truth. "It's not just a mistake, Liam. It's a betrayal that runs deep. Some things can't be undone with an apology." My parents, too, offered cautious advice, urging me to take the high road while also encouraging me to protect myself. Their support became an anchor during the storm, even as my world felt like it had tilted on its axis. Mia, on the other hand, continued to oscillate between guilt and defensiveness. I learned that she had been dealing with her own insecurities, fears of abandonment, and feelings of inadequacy that had fueled her decisions. Some of her actions, while unjustifiable, were rooted in a desire to be needed, to feel significant, and to avoid loneliness. This didn't excuse the betrayal, but it added a layer of complexity I hadn't anticipated. She wasn't simply cruel. She was flawed, human, and misguided in ways that had hurt me profoundly. As weeks turned into months, I focused on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into my work, volunteered at a local youth center, and strengthened relationships with friends who had proven trustworthy. Slowly, the anger that had consumed me began to subside, replaced by reflection and self-awareness. I realized that betrayal, while devastating, can also be a teacher. It forces clarity, illuminates true character, and strengthens the resolve to prioritize one's own well-being. Unexpectedly, another revelation surfaced that shed light on Mia's motives. One evening, while helping a mutual friend organize old photos for a college reunion, I stumbled across a series of journal entries Mia had accidentally left behind. In them, she chronicled feelings of envy toward my successes, fear of losing me, and a misguided attempt to assert control over her own life by influencing mine. Reading her words was surreal, hurtful, yet enlightening. It explained some of her choices without diminishing their impact. The betrayal was real, but so was her internal struggle. A struggle that had manifested in ways I had never imagined. This insight allowed me to process my emotions more fully. I no longer saw Mia solely as a villain. I saw her as a flawed human being whose insecurities had collided disastrously with my trust. Understanding this didn't erase the pain, but it gave me a framework to move forward without being consumed by anger or resentment. I began practicing forgiveness, not for her sake, but for mine, letting go of the toxic hold the betrayal had on my mind and heart. The social fallout continued in subtle ways. Mutual friends occasionally asked for updates, curious about whether reconciliation was possible. Some tried to broker peace, but I realized that certain bonds, once broken, cannot be restored to their original form. Mia and I interacted politely at gatherings, but the intimacy we once shared was gone, replaced by cautious civility. I learned to accept this new reality, recognizing that some relationships serve a purpose for a time, and then their chapter must close. Through this process, I discovered an unexpected strength within myself. I developed clearer boundaries, refined my instincts, and learned to value transparency and honesty above all else. I began mentoring younger colleagues at work, sharing lessons about trust and resilience, and finding satisfaction in helping others navigate their own challenges. My life gradually regained stability, and a sense of empowerment emerged from the wreckage of betrayal. Even though the scars remained, I realized that they were symbols of growth. Betrayal had forced me to confront uncomfortable truths, navigate intense emotions, and ultimately rebuild my life on my own terms. I no longer depended on the validation or loyalty of someone who had proven untrustworthy. Instead, I found confidence in my own judgment and resilience in my ability to heal. As time passed, the sting of betrayal softened into a quiet, reflective memory. I still thought of Mia occasionally, wondering if she had grown, if she had learned from her mistakes. Part of me mourned the friendship we had lost, but a stronger part celebrated the wisdom and strength I had gained. I realized that while some secrets can destroy relationships, they can also reveal the power and capacity for growth within oneself. Months had passed since the confrontation, and slowly, the storm that Mia's betrayal had brought into my life began to settle. I had spent countless nights reflecting on every detail, every word, every memory we shared. At first, the weight of anger and hurt had been unbearable, pressing down on me like a physical force. But over time, I realized that the only way to move forward was to reclaim my life, my peace, and my own sense of self. I made the conscious choice to focus on myself. I nurtured friendships with people who had proven loyal, who lifted me up instead of tearing me down. I immersed myself in work and creative projects, finding fulfillment and pride in my own accomplishments. Slowly, laughter returned, not the forced, cautious laughter of the early weeks after betrayal, but genuine joy that reminded me who I was before the heartbreak. I also learned to forgive not Mia for what she had done, but myself for allowing someone else's deception to define my emotions for so long. Forgiveness was not about reconciliation. It was about freeing myself from the invisible chains of resentment. By letting go, I discovered a freedom I had never known, a sense of clarity that allowed me to approach life with renewed strength. Mia remained a part of my past, but no longer a presence in my present. When we occasionally crossed paths at social gatherings or mutual events, I greeted her politely, without hostility, but with a sense of emotional distance. I had accepted that some relationships are not meant to last forever, that some people enter your life to teach lessons, and that closure often comes from within, not from apologies or explanations. The betrayal had left scars. Yes, but they became symbols of growth rather than pain. I had survived heartbreak, navigated deception, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The experience taught me the value of trust, the importance of boundaries, and the necessity of self-respect. I no longer measured my worth by the actions of others, but by my own strength and integrity. In quiet moments, walking along the waves at Venice Beach or watching the city lights of Los Angeles from my apartment window, I reflected on how far I had come. The friendship I once cherished had ended, but from its ashes, I had discovered my own power, independence, and clarity. I had learned that betrayal, while devastating, is also a teacher. It forces you to confront uncomfortable truths, to grow beyond pain, and to embrace the life you deserve. Finally, I understood that closure does not always require confrontation or reconciliation. True closure comes from accepting the past, learning from it, and choosing to move forward with confidence and self-love. And in that acceptance, I found peace. I was no longer defined by betrayal or loss, but by my ability to rise, to heal, and to embrace a future filled with honesty, trust, and possibility. The chapter with Mia had ended, but my story was far from over. I stepped into each day with courage, embracing the beauty and unpredictability of life, knowing that I had survived the worst and emerged stronger. The lessons I had learned, the growth I had achieved, and the strength I had discovered became the foundation for everything that lay ahead. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly free.